All right. Hello, everyone. This is Jessica Riverson with the Break Room for Coaches. And I'm just waiting for my co-host, Monica Pelayo, to come on board here. But while she's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and get started and talk about today's topic. So today we are talking about the 80-20 mindset rule for coaches when you're building your coaching business. So I just got in late last night from Punta Cana, and I got to spend a lot of time with coaches who are on all different spectrums of all different stages in building their coaching business. So coaches making 6 figures a year, coaches making 6 figures a month, and multiple 6 figures per year, and multiple 6 figures per month. I also got to work with my mindset coach, Jane, who really shared and helped me integrate something around the 80-20 rule as it applies to our mindset and our building our coaching business. So I want to share my integrations, and I also want to hear Monica's take on this and your take on this as well. So looks like Monica's here. She's calling in. Let's see. It says that you're one person calling in. Okay. So let me see here. Oh, let me accept. Okay. Here she comes.
Okay. Hi.
How are you?
I didn't know you were logging in through there, so sorry about that.
Yeah, I know. I tried to message you to let you know. So, okay. Well, welcome. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you. Love being here.
So I already introduced what we're talking about, and we're just going to dive in. So what I was saying is that I'm going to share some of the integrations that I had over this past week and kind of weigh in on some of the mindset things. And then I want to hear your take as a shadow expert, from the spiritual side and that your side of things, how this all kind of goes together, and then just create a conversation and take questions if we have questions. So we do have an open seat. We will accept someone to come on board in the next little bit here if you want to ask a question or share I know we got Lisa. Lisa's all about mindset, so I'd love to hear what she has to say on this topic. So let's just dive in, and I'll share with you some of my big ahas. And all right, welcome, Kimberly. We've got Kimberly, looks like from Seattle. Cool. All right, so here we go. So one of my biggest integrations, biggest ahas was the fact that I was in this room for a few days with coaches, entrepreneurs who are doing anywhere from 6 figures a year to 6 figures a month to multiple 6 figures a year to multiple 6 figures a month. And it was really cool because what I recognized is that we all have the same problems, right? So, one person who is at 6 figures a year is like, oh, I'm trying to attract clients. I'm not as attracting as many as I want. And then you've got the person that's, just had $100,000 month, and they're saying, oh, I'm not attracting as many clients as I want. Or they're like complaining about a technical issue, or somebody wanted a refund or something like that. And it's like, the main difference that I saw is the reaction to the problem is different. So when you're at this level, you can experience the same problems, right? But their response rate, how quickly they responded and their emotional response was completely different than the person who had the same problem just on a lower level. So it was really, it made me feel a lot better to go, oh, someone who's like 10 steps ahead of me has the same challenges and same problems, and they're human beings and they have emotions about it, but they're able to respond differently. So if you have one client that's maybe unhappy or gave you negative feedback, the person that's dealt with that, many times, they can kind of course correct and go, okay, what do I need to do in this situation to resolve the problem? And what do I need to put in place to try to minimize that from happening in the future? Whereas the person that is maybe at a lower level, they're like, oh my God, like they're taking it personally and they're like freaking out and, oh, I should just close my business. I'm terrible. I suck. I'm no good. And so that was the big aha, is that 80% of this game is about the way you think about it, the way you emotionally respond, whether you're taking it personally or not. And I think that it's hard sometimes because we care about our clients. We care about what people think, right? I mean, we do. And in reality, it is our business, and we have to also have that business mindset to go, okay, so if I want a different outcome, what do I need to do differently? Instead of like, oh my God, I'm horrible. Like just shoot me now. So, I mean, what do you think about this? Like, I know that you probably see a lot of the freak out moments that coaches have. And I mean, what have you noticed?
Well, I think it's what we talked about. I think that if you're in this industry, you have done enough work on yourself. You've read the books, you've done the courses and whatever. And that's kind of what we share and we extend to other people, right? And if I see it in kind of in the work that I do, the shadow work that, a lot of people think it's just all dark. But what it is, what a shadow really is seeing something for what it's not. So that's what the shadow is. So the shadow is seeing a lie. And that lie is like really consuming us and sabotaging us and whatever, because we hate it, we don't like it, we don't want to be part of it. And in the work, which is in all the work that you do, it doesn't have to be shadow work. It could be the Course in Miracles, it could be the Kabbalah, it could be yoga, it could be whatever it is that you'd like to practice, and mind setting. It could be anything you want it to be. But the goal is really to see the truth of it. And in order for it to do that, you really have to look at it. And the people that kind of react like, go this, like this, is because they haven't been able to really see the truth of that feeling or whatever it is that it triggers them, right? And so just not a long time ago, I had a session a few days ago about somebody that was really against this whole magic thing and whatever, because when she grew up, she saw her mom doing kind of like this little, in Mexico, you grow up with that, like your mom gets upset with somebody and they put their picture and they put a glass of water so it could clean up all the shit, right? That's what you hear. You grow up with this stuff. And
is that like what is the word? Superstitions?
Well,
kind of?
I don't know. It could be like, some people call it like magic spells. Other people call it like superstitions. Some people call it like just things they do, their mom did, like throwing the salt. That's like more superstition.
Oh yeah, throw the salt over your back.
Yeah, so it's kind of like normal. But then, there were some parents that got like more deep into it. They like grabbed the candle and the bird and that was kind of like more of a witchy thing and whatever. So she kind of grew up with all that stuff. And she's a kinesiologist and she kicks ass. I mean, she's a kinesiologist and she's like she heals a lot of people from the subconscious. You go there and she just kind of like asks your body and does all this amazing things. So I did a session with her, and, all these things came up in her shadow. And her shadow, it was like this really mean witch that came in and said all these like really, like horrible things about power, about all this stuff. And at the end, how the process goes. And at the end, we discovered, and she was able to see this witch. She was this beautiful woman. And she's like, you don't look at me. She's like, you don't look at me. If you looked at me, I am the one that connects you with love, with abundance, with everything. She's like, I'm the one that helps you heal other people. And you've hated me so much and you've sabotaged yourself in your business. That's why in your business, you haven't been able to make, the amount of money that you want to make, because until you don't accept me, and if you don't see the truth about me, you're always going to judge other people that you think that they're doing magic or manifestation. Even manifestation was like magic and all this stuff, right? And then she was like, oh my God. So she like totally received the gift of, instead of magic, she was able to see that there were miracles, right? From love, from fear to love.
Well, and that's exactly what I noticed is like, we take these things and we blow it up to this big, bad, dark thing. And we don't want to, it's like, we don't want to look at it. And what you're saying is when we look at it, it's like we can dissipate all the negative stuff and it's like accepting a part of ourselves.
Yeah, because now you see it as a truth. You know the truth and it'll set you free. But the problem is that it's so uncomfortable to look at that you've been rejecting and that you've been like having such a hard time that you will take it personally. You will take in it's like right now this, and I love manifestation, and I'm such a fan of your work and whatever, because when I do what you tell me to do, like things happen, like I have like really good months. And so I totally get the manifestation. I totally get positivity and whatever. But when you use it to hide your shadow, you can take courses, you can hang out as many positive people and whatever, but you're not in integrity. When I talk about integrity, is like you're not complete. It's like you're missing an arm. It's like you're not being your whole self. And I think in this kind of work, that's the difference of people that are really making it, or the difference on how they react is of the work that they've been doing, with themselves, like really looking into it. Like I keep, you keep saying an affirmation, but you have a feeling that is opposite of that affirmation. So like, it is important that we look at, like, why do I feel this way? What is it trying to tell me? Like, what is it that I hate so much about?
I like that question. What is it trying to tell me? Because it's like, if we just make ourselves bad and wrong, like what I noticed in this room, if you guys are just joining us, we're talking about someone who's making $100,000 a year, someone's making $100,000 a month, someone that's making $250 a year, someone that's making $250 a month. So it's like this whole spread, right? And they're all of us, myself included, were like, oh, this isn't working, this isn't working, this isn't working. And we really did a lot of training on how to approach a problem. And it's true that it's 80% your mindset, because everyone in the room, they're working their strategy, they're working their plan, they're doing things that are proven to work, right? Like, when you learn certain business systems, it's like, okay, here's a proven system, do this and this works. But then we're human, right? Like we're not robots. So then we enter in with our limiting belief and what we think people think about us and the fears and the doubts that we have. And that was just really eye-opening to see that every single person was focusing on what wasn't working. Every single person was feeling like they weren't doing as well as they should be, although every single person was making more money than they had the year before. Everyone was like improving, and yet we're all like, oh, but I'm this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is wrong. And so I don't know if it's an entrepreneur thing, and I want to know what you think about this, is like this idea that we're never arriving or not good enough, or it's like, it doesn't matter what you do. It's like, I have the but. Oh, you're doing a good job, Jessica. Yeah, but this other thing, Yeah. And Patrick is saying, true, at the foundation is mindset, but a big piece of this is also having the right knowledge.
Of course, and I think that's what I wanted to say about this. Oh, did I interrupt you?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, so that's the thing I want to say, and thanks, Patrick. And it's having more of the knowledge. It's more of the wisdom, behind the whole thing, right? Because there's the answer why people come when they come to me, and if they're business coaches, they come to me not because they don't know how to sell. Not because they don't know how to make, because they've made money, they know how to sell, they have great marketing and whatever, but they find out, what Patrick says, the knowledge of like what's really going on, like the wisdom that goes on. And why do they leave? And after a week, they're making 20,000, 15,000, 30,000 more than, when they came to me. It wasn't because I taught them how to, it's because they uncovered something that it was shut down for so long. And here's the really interesting thing, Jessica, that the people that I've been talking lately are business coaches, and they've come to me because they say, this shouldn't be that much work, because I teach that it's not that much work, and I'm working my ass off, and I just feel like I just can't make it. And it's like, and then they have a session and it's like, oh my God, I did more now than I did when I was doing all the stuff. Like I was able to get more clients and do less than doing all the stuff and doing more. And I'm like, why do you think why do you think that happened? And they were saying, because I was able to make a space of like silence and calmness, and then the like really good nuggets came out, and then I was able to put it. And she's like, and before it was like, oh, I have to do this and I have to do that to keep, and it's like they start working from fear. And and that's what I'm saying, that's why the shadow, it's like working with something that is a lie. It's a shadow because you haven't seen the light of it. You haven't seen the truth about it. And so of course they come to me and they're like, I feel guilty that I know that people can work and I help other people work less and earn more, but I'm like nonstop. And like,
well, it's like being the slave, right? Like being the martyr, being the slave. Like a lot of us were raised with that belief. Like if you work harder, you're going to get your goal. Just work harder, right? That was the two of the most successful, I'm going to say financially successful, because the other thing that I've been doing is redefining what success is, because it's not just the dollars, it's more than that, right?
Yeah.
But two of the most financially successful people in the room both said, I'm now working less than I ever have before, and I'm making way, way more. So the mindset shifts allow us to work smarter and not harder, because I think that until we address our mindset and our shadow, we just keep wanting to bang our head against the wall. We just keep wanting to work harder and do more, right? Do more, work harder. I should do this and I should do that. And it's just like, it ends up being, you're just totally spent.
And because it's coming from fear.
Yes. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
And I like what you said about operating from alignment or operating from fear. I mean, either way, it's like, you might as well operate from alignment, like
love,
you might
love, like what you love, what you're passionate about.
Right. Yeah. If you're going to do the work, you might as well do it from that space, because you're going to be happier, right? Like you could make the same amount of money. You're probably going to make more, but like you can make the same amount, and one, you're doing it from fear, and the other, you're doing it from love, alignment. You're more in the flow.
Totally. And just to say, Patrick, you said wisdom is applied knowledge, so I wouldn't disagree with that. Yeah, of course. It's because I'm such a fan of Don Miguel Ruiz, and he talks about the distinction between knowledge and wisdom, and I loved how he did it. Like I totally recommend it if you want to check it out. But yes, totally the same thing. So so can you give us, because I know you're awesome at this, can you give us some tips, or like share with us, what do you do for to do your minds, like doing mindset? What type of mindsets can we do? What do you recommend that's been working with others, and what have some of your clients said that are kind of the best things that they've done that have?
Oh, that's a good question. I actually drew this picture earlier. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's not a very good picture, but so basically I drew this little box. This is not necessary. This is more just something I want to share, but there's this little box, and that's you. And I saw this somewhere else. I'm sure I'm not the person that created this, because I saw this years and years ago. And one of my mentors showed me this. So here's the box, and there's you, right? Like you're in this box, and this is what you're aware of. This is your bandwidth. This is like where you are. And then you start breaking. So I drew these little arrows. See the arrows going down and out? You start breaking through that barrier. And now you're in this box that's a little bigger. And now you can see a little bit more, you can experience more, your emotional bandwidth is more, and then you break through that. This is where coaches come in, right? The coach is helping you break through. And then, so now you're in this box, right? It's a little bit bigger. And so I think for someone that's visual, if you can sort of understand this, it gives you a lot of sense of relief to recognize like if you accept that this is a journey and it's not a journey that you're supposed to get to the end, or that for me, I'm all about, I want to be at the top of the mountain. And as I've started to realize that there's no top of the mountain, at the point where there's a top of the mountain, you're dead, right? Like if you've done it all, you've seen it all, you've accomplished it all, then that desire for living, I think, starts to decrease. I don't know. Maybe someone that is twice my age would have a better perspective. But it seems like at the point where you stop pushing for the next level and you stop having the desire for what's next, what's more, how else can I expand? At the point where you stop having that, I would think that that is your time to pass on, to move on. So I think the sooner we recognize, not to say we're in a box, but like the sooner we sort of understand how this works, we can kind of be at peace and go, okay, it ebbs and flows, right? Like maybe you're in a time, like, not you, but like anyone, right? Like maybe we're in a time where we're breaking through, and it's like, it's a challenge. And then we break through to that next level and we're like, oh, okay. And so what we were doing last year is now easy, but the stuff we're doing this year is hard. And we forget where we came from. We forget, oh my God, last year I was like so in fear about making videos, or I was so in fear about being on Blab. Right now this year, it's like, oh, that's easy, but I want to do this next thing because, I saw this other person and I thought, oh, wow, maybe I could do that next thing. And so now we're focused on the next thing and we're getting all emotional about that thing. And so another big thing I recognized in myself, and then being in this room over this past week in the Dominican Republic, was that a lot of people were focusing on all the stuff that was hard right now. And it's like they completely forgot that last year or 3 months ago, there were things that were hard then that are like a piece of cake now. So I know that's not a direct answer to your question, but I do think that's a mindset shift, right? Like once you make that shift, you realize that it's a journey. You're always in evolution, and like have compassion for ourselves, like we got to cut ourselves some slack, seriously. So I don't know, like I think it would be cool. Like what do you think about this, Monica, this little picture? Like how does that relate to the shadow?
And, I think, when it comes to stuff like this, everybody has kind of like their own philosophy of what life is for them, right? Like some people believe like you go up on the mountain and then you kind of have to come down to take the next mountain, but you have to come down. And if you see it as like, oh, I'm going to come down because I'm going to have another opportunity to go to another mountain, and I like to expand because we are creators. We come from a creator, right? So like we love to expand. Life is constantly expanding, constantly creating. Like life is not, it's not something that just stays static, right? It's like
it's not static, yeah.
So life expands and it keeps growing, and us, being an extension of life, we are the same way. So we're constantly, so as long as we see that, like when you're up in the mountain, first of all, and I've talked about this before, that on the way to that, it's not, the success is not to get to the top of the mountain. The success is when you get to the mountain and you see all of the things that you've gone through. Like you said, like I've done the Blabs, I've done this, I've met this people, I've had masterminds, and I had sisterhood, and I had a deep connection with Jessica, and whatever it is that my accomplishments were. And I'm in total gratitude. In order for you to be and really experience success, you are in a place of gratitude of everything you went through to getting to the top, right? There's people that just get to the top. Yeah, there's people that just get to the top and they just like, what the heck? All this for this, you know, like I did all the shit, you know, it's like I step on people. It's like, and that's when people come up and go like, and now what, you know? But like when you really did the work and you were present and you were in total gratitude of everybody that you met on the way, how you helped people up, you carried people, you got carried and whatever. When you're on top of the mountain, you look and you're like in total gratitude, looking at all these people, the people you lost in the way. Every year we lose people, the people that helped you, the people that you never expected that would help you. The miracles that happen in the way. So when you're on the top, you have a sense of like, you know, you want to cry and you're so grateful to everything. And then when you're there, what that gives you is the opportunity that when you're like, okay, now I want to create something else, we're going to have to go down. And sometimes it feels like, why is this happening to me? I've done all the right things. I carried people on the top. I was successful. When we feel like it was just taken away. But if we can see it as it's not taken away, you're just going to a bigger mountain, more beautiful. And now you're going to have other masterminds, other people and whatever. And so, but in order for that to not be so painful, you have to remember that moment when you were in complete success, that you were in pure gratitude. And that's what's going to keep you present during that whole way down and the whole way up. And then it's going to come in where you're going to be in full gratitude because that's how it works. That's how I see it. It doesn't have to be, like that. But I feel that the work for us as human beings is to remember, you know, to become a member again to that place of success, which was filled with gratitude. That's why I think gratitude is such a powerful mindset, you know, for me, you know, like when I'm in my worst that I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, you know, and it's like, I'm like, what am I grateful for today? And there's always something that you're grateful for. There's always something. And there's always something that you can complain about also.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Well, we did this cool thing where we wrote a letter to ourselves and then it'll be mailed, you know, down the line. And because there was just such an energy in the room of like, well, this isn't working and this isn't, and I got to work on this and I got to work on that. And again, maybe it's part of being an entrepreneur where we're always going for the next level. Like, because when you grow a business, you can't coast, right? Like it's a difference of like an employee mindset and entrepreneur mindset. Entrepreneur is you wake up every day and you have to create your income, right? Like you have zero until you put something in place that's consistent, or you're making a new sale every day. Like you're always creating your income. And so I think for that reason, you know, we're risk takers. We also can be really hard on ourselves because we know that, you know, you have to constantly innovate. You have to think of the next thing. I mean, if you can't almost just sit around, and anyone that talks about marketing that's on autopilot, yes, but, you know, like I have some marketing that is, I would say, relative autopilot because you always have to. So I think I'm going to just take this time about the fact that it's not static, right? In regards to marketing, it's like a lot of people in the room were like, well, I thought I would just launch my Facebook ad and I would just be riding off in the sunset. And it's like, well, no, you have to constantly test it and tweak it. And maybe people don't like that image. Maybe they don't like the words that you're using. Like, you know, or you send an email to your list and nobody opens it. It's like, okay, well, maybe my email subject line wasn't hitting the mark. And so I think when it comes to marketing, it goes back to mindset as well, because you have to have the mindset of, okay, I'm going to test this out. And our mindset coach at this conference that I was at, she gave us such a great tip. She said, you really need to think of your business like a game, right? So let's say you were playing a crossword puzzle and you tried to put a word in and that word didn't fit. You would go, okay, well, let me try a different word. And so she shared that analogy. And I thought, you know, that's the way that we have to approach business, a little bit more playful. Stop being so hard on ourselves. Stop taking it so seriously. I mean, take your mission seriously, right? Take your message and your mission seriously, but don't take your marketing so seriously where it's like, if you launch one thing or you make one post or you send one email or you do one webinar or teleseminar and you don't get the result that you want, that you go, well, that wasn't for me. Because I've had clients where it's like they did one webinar and they're like, no, it didn't work. And I'm like, do you know how many webinars I've done? Or, oh, that sales call, it didn't work. No, the price is too high. The price is too high. And it's like, I mean, someone told me at the conference that she did 50 sales calls and she's in a spiritual niche, spirituality stuff, right? 50 sales calls, didn't make a sale. She has now been making between $30,000 and $50,000 every month for the past few months. And obviously people are now saying yes on her sales calls, but it's like,
right.
That's this big thing about mindset. You don't just try something and decide, well, that doesn't work for me. Like, that's the biggest thing I see in my clients, past clients. I mean, myself, I did the same thing. I did a teleseminar.
You just got cut off, I think.
Oh, really? I can hear you.
Oh, I can hear you now. You got a little bit.
Okay. I remember doing a teleseminar, and then it was like a whole year went by before I did it again. And I just look back and go, gosh, if I had done that twice a month, every month for the whole year, then the next year I would have been like even more effective, right? So whatever marketing strategy that you're doing, keep a good mindset about it, that you recognize, 80% of this is my mindset and staying in the game. 20% is following, what my coach is teaching me, or following some kind of system or plan that you've invested in. Follow the plan, but know that there's a learning curve for every single thing.
Yeah, I think that 80% that you talk about is so important. It's about working on ourselves, really. That's the 80%, lifting and I think that our content and our tools and what we sell comes from our experience. And people are scared to live their experience if they feel like, oh, it's not sounding successful, right? But it becomes successful because of those moments of feeling uncomfortable and making the tweak, right? Like you didn't get what you said, you didn't get that word, then you're like, okay. And then you go ask somebody like, what do you think the word is? You call, and I think that right now, I don't know if people, can agree on this, but I feel that there's a wave within coaches and leaders that are so focused in being in this positive wave and this everything is great, everything is fine, everything. And if it doesn't feel good, they're like, just kind of leave it and start something else and whatever. When if it doesn't feel good, it's a sign that there's something really good down there. Just stay with it. Don't give up that fast. And that could be in your business, but in relationships as well. Why the high level of divorces? Because, a lot of people think that okay, well, he doesn't work, so I'm going to find somebody that's work. Well, they'll work on some level, but in other levels, they're not going to work. Sooner or later, if you want to stay in a relationship, if you want to have a business, if you want this life to work for you, you have to stick it up. I'm not talking about if you're being abused or, I'm not talking it in that way. I'm just talking about when the things get rough, if you stay long enough, but with the intention of oh, I'm going to find something good on this, you're going to be able to really find your soul brand, your marketing, everything that you thought that you were having a hard time and that you didn't have clarity and you don't know what's your target market and you don't know how to, use this or use that. You're really going to be clear and get your true mission. But because you did, you really truly did the work and you are invested, if you couldn't do it and you hired someone or whatever it is that you have to do to really get into that part that is a little bit uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
And
It's like the people that feel the fear and feel the discomfort, but they move forward anyway. Those are the most successful people in the world. Like, I mean, I think last year I was just scared shitless like the whole time, like just constantly.
And you did pretty good. And you did pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. This year, I've had moments of that. It hasn't been as a constant, you know, like, and there's been things I figured out, like, okay, you know what? I need to not do it this way. That's not good for me. I've discovered ways that I was going to burn out and crash and burn, and learned how I can start, you know, navigating away from that. But so it always comes back to mindset, like how you're viewing the problem, how you're handling the problem, what you can do differently. Are you being compassionate with yourself? Are you being grateful for all that you have accomplished? This week when I was in Punta Cana, I wrote down all of the things that I had accomplished. And I mean, I know the list was probably just a fraction of things that I've done, but I think it's the list that I actually turned it in. But I just was like reflecting back on situations I've had to overcome and things like that. And when it comes to being visible on social media and being present, you're now putting yourself in a place where there's more people that can respond negatively. And that's also been something that's been, I'm sure that you've experienced it too, where you're putting yourself out there. And it's a little bit more scary now with social media because, you know, people can respond and say, oh, that's stupid, or, oh, you made a spelling mistake, or, you know, you look ugly. I've had people, you know, post different kind of things like that. And there's something I talk about in my sales program that says your mission has to be bigger than your ego, right? So if you stay true to your mission, why are you doing this type of coaching? Why do you have this message? Why is this your thing? Because you could pick any kind of coaching niche that you want to pick, right? Like why are we on this mission? Why is this part of our purpose? And anytime we lose sight of that and we put our head down into creating a lead page or a landing page or a webinar, we're like, you know, like we almost forget why we're doing all this stuff, because there is such a learning curve with technology. There are so many fears about being visible. And I mean, this business is going to challenge you like none other. And so if we forget why we're doing what we're doing, then our mindset just goes to crap, right? We just end up with the most negative mindset, because if you are doing things to grow your business, even if you have help, right? Because like I have a lot of things that I delegate, but I still have to figure certain things out before I delegate it. Like I have to know how to run a webinar. I have to know how Facebook ads work. I can't just delegate stuff I just am really clueless about. So what happens is with coaches building an online business is there's these things that they have to do, and they have such low self-esteem around it. So if you're like, oh my God, I'm so not techie, I'm like the worst technical person ever. Now you're doing a landing page and a website and a webinar and whatever, a Facebook ad. You're doing things that you have low self-esteem in, right? Like that's it's normal. If you don't know how to do something, your self-esteem is like here. And so you're spending all this time feeling like crap because it's something that you're terrible at. And then what I'm hearing from people is they're like, oh my gosh, I'm just, you know, it's so hard. And like, you're doing this and so did that. And it's like, yeah, but I watched like 10 YouTube videos to figure out how to do that, yeah. You know, or I hired someone to like give me tutorials, and it doesn't mean I'm going to do those things forever. I'm delegating some of those things out. But that's also a big, I know I'm going on a tangent, but it's still mindset. Is I'm seeing a lot of people go through, like they're excited about their coaching business, and then their self-esteem tanks because they're having to do things that they don't have high self-esteem around, like writing a sales page or a landing page or a website. Like how can you expect to have high self-esteem about those things? And as much as I believe in delegating, there's also a part where it's like you kind of have to do the work. Even if you delegate building a website, they're going to ask you, they're going to want a lot of information. They're going to want the copy written, all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, what do you think about that whole thing? Because that's a mindset thing, but it's almost like.
That's such an interesting part. And like, this is so juicy for me because, you know, my target market are coaches and leaders and people that are already putting themselves out there in the world. And they're like really on the front lines, like really, really on the front lines. And that's why I'm like so in love with these people and like be truly at service to them. Like I'm like really, really passionate about it because I admire them so much. And I'm like a little bit more introverted and they're like so extroverted and putting themselves out there all over. So like, that's why I wanted to give that a space. But one of the things that I find really, really interesting is when their mindset like totally shuts off or they just go through like a really shitty place. Because for example, if they're a money coach and suddenly they start like losing this money or not making money, they come with me with like this shame. It's like, this cannot happen to me. I'm a money coach. And I'm like, no. We want shit like this to happen to you because you will create new tools and you will understand people better and because you're the expert. Like there's no one better that it can happen because you will learn how to survive it. Like you're a business coach, right? Like I mean, it hasn't happened to you, but like, for example, other business coaches have come to me and they say like, I teach this and this is where like the worst is going on. And I'm like, I'm so glad it's happening to you. And they're like, Monica. And I'm like, no, because you are the expert. You've overcome this before and now you're going to overcome it, but with new tools because you're growing and you're creating and I'm going to give you the space to do it. Same day, Jessica, same day. They're like, oh, I did this and I did this and I applied this and whatever. And I'm like, make it a course. She makes a course, people start making money. So it's like.
Well, I remember when I worked with you and I was like having like this really bad month and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not making money. And I worked with you and then it was mindset because like, it wasn't like I didn't know what to do. So after I worked with you, I just put something in place. I made an offer. I put some emails. I just put it all together, what I wanted to offer and create. And I made like 3 sales, like boom, boom, boom. And so it's funny how like when our self-esteem tanks or we start getting into fear and doubt and lack, we suddenly feel like we know nothing. I know nothing. I'm the worst business coach. I'm horrible. Like everything I've ever learned is just gone.
Because you're looking at it as a lie. And it goes back to like, you're looking at a shadow, which the shadow is the lie of the truth behind it, right? And that was my whole point. Like you were believing in a complete lie because I don't know anybody better than you that can help me make money. You know, like I know if I'm like having a hard time with money, I know I could go to you and I will make money. You know, like I'm here in Cancun, right? You know, I was in Spain. I came to Cancun. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to work, Jess. I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to I think I'm just going to, you know, hold my business off for a little bit until I work on this whole move and traveling and whatever. I was here in June, right? In June. So
you've only been here a few weeks, right?
Yeah. So like I was here 10th of June. So like a month and something. So this month has been my highest month.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like I've had all these clients and whatever, and like I've made pretty good money. I mean, I'm not a business coach, so I don't really talk about like how much money I make all the time, but like it's been a really high month. So that's what I'm saying. Like if I want something, you know, I go to you and, you know, but if you weren't going through this stuff and this stress or this thing, I don't think you would be as good. And this is the problem. When we see something uncomfortable or something we don't like or we hate, and the harder and the darker it is, believe me, you are believing something that is not true, and there is a gift behind it. And the gift is like, you're going to, like, this is happening because you're ready to create a new tool. Yeah. Because we as coaches, we heal the pain of others, through our experiences, through our courses, through the pain that they don't know how to use websites or webinars or whatever. Like every expert becomes an expert because of the things that shows up constantly, and it shows up to everyone, but the expert stays and creates new tools. And that for me is really important. Like if somebody can take something from our blab shows, is that it's just don't run away, because this is true intimacy in your business, true intimacy with your clients, true intimacy with the people that you're talking to. Like you cannot be intimate if you don't embrace your vulnerability and accept where you're at. And it's like me, it's like, I'm a shadow coach, right? It's like, and shadow coaching has kicked my ass many times. Like it's really kicked my ass, and it's put me in places.
My permission to charge brand, it's like, it shows up for me all the time. It's great because that's my brand. So it's like, as I go to higher and higher levels, it's like that, those pictures of the iceberg and you just see the tip, but then there's like this whole iceberg underneath. That's kind of how the permission to charge message is for me. It's like, it's always revealing itself more and more and more. And the more it reveals itself, the less it is about money, really.
It totally is. And that's why these messages, and that's why we do what we do in the show, is just like to show the reality of it, because, you go into Facebook or everywhere and it's like, how to make 100,000, how to make 5,000. I'll show you the ways that we did it and whatever. Yes, that's the way they did it. And that's the steps and whatever. However, it's like the iceberg, It took me a lot of falling, and it's going to take a lot of falling for you. Like you really need yourself, like fall in your ass. And, it's like, oh, but this time if I fall, I'm going to fall this way, or I'm not going to hold my head, or, but
this time I'll like brace myself. This time I'll have a plan. This time I know I'm going to fall. So now I'm going to have a plan B. Or
people could call it like, oh no, you're being, and that's what they say, like, oh no, you're being like super negative on that. Like, I'm just gonna focus. I'm not gonna fall. And it's like, it's life. You will.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about marketing, and they were like, look, start your plan B when your plan A is going well. We were talking about lead generation. If you're attracting clients through Facebook ads, and that's going well, okay, you can try Twitter ads, you can try LinkedIn ads, you can try YouTube ads. Like, don't put all your eggs in one basket, and have a plan B when plan A is going well. And so it's a different mindset of stepping into like the CEO of your company, which was my intention really for being there. I think as coaches, we're kind of like solopreneur mindset, right? It's like, yeah. I'm a coach and I just, I do this service. And what's really cool about being a coach is that as you try to scale a coaching business, you get all these different challenges, technology challenges and lead generation challenges, all this kind of stuff, marketing. And it really it doesn't matter if you're like a spiritual coach, a mindset coach, or whatever. The lady that I was talking about earlier that's having really, really high months and she's in a spiritual niche, she does all of her own ads and everything. Like this is someone that, maybe be someone you would never think would like be like in there setting up the ad sets and doing all this technical stuff, but it's like, she's that much on her mission that she's willing to learn the ropes of that. She'll probably pass it off to someone else pretty soon, but it's like she's willing to learn the ropes of that because she's reaching so many more people now and, working with high end, on a high end level. And, it's just, those are the stuff that we go through. So part of me has been I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Like, should all coaches just hire a marketing team? I mean, that's one way to handle it. Or, does it make sense that we kind of go through the trenches and then we start to delegate this and delegate that and delegate that? I mean, not everyone is trying to create $1 million business. Some people just want to have like a smaller sort of boutique type of coaching business. It doesn't matter to me really. But I think it's just recognizing that you're going to have to do some things that you don't like. Like I believe, I'm always like, stay in your own lane, do your genius work. So I've been really big on that, and I've like been delegating from the beginning. But you know, sometimes you need to create a new team that's, you know, better than you at what it is that you're trying to delegate them or have them do for you.
But see,
or
this
sometimes
is what happens. Like, because we hear you say that because you're such more advanced and because you're such in a high, you know, like in 6-7 figures. But then somebody, you know, like hears that and it's like, oh my God, I don't even have a marketing.
Well, that's scary too. Like,
it's like you want to drop everything. And my advice, you know, like in this spiritual, just like if it's freaking you out, just drop it all and grab your video or go into your Facebook group and go like, hey, whatever it is that you teach. You know, sometimes you could get freaked out, and this is what I just did right now, and it totally, like, if it worked or whatever, and start there. And believe me, when you start like really being in integrity on like, because this work is about sharing your gift, right? This is about really supporting others, really being of service. So I remember I heard Marianne Williamson talking about that this somebody wanted to be an actor or something like that. And she's like, if you want to act, start acting. And she's like, no, but like, I haven't been discovered by these producers, and I'm looking, and I'm, you know, I did the paper, like what we do in our business. Like I did the paperwork, I did the thing. And those are great because you have to be ready and show the world that you're ready, right? You don't want a producer to come and she's like, show me your profile, and you don't have one, right? So that's a good part of it. However, if you want to start act, go to the places where there's like old people. What do you call that place? I don't want to say old people, but like
like a retirement home.
A retirement, yeah. So a retirement home, and do a play. And who knows?
If you want to be like making videos and attracting clients through video, make your first video. Like
if you want to sing,
make a video.
Right. If you want to sing, and then things will start happening. You know, life will meet you halfway, and it's like, and then somebody will come and it's like, oh, hey, you know, my grandma was here and I'm a producer, you know, or like saw the video and it's like, oh, I love your video. Would you like some marketing on that? I can help you because I love your work and whatever. And it's like, you've been getting a lot of things and you could get some money on this side. And you're like, all right. So I'm saying and that's kind of like the feminine, you know, part of it. You know, it's like, do what you love to do. And the masculine part of it is like, take action, you know, like do your profile, check out your webinars and whatever as you go, but don't make this the most important to do this. It's like, no, do what you're passionate about. Don't stop doing it while this starts working out, because, you know, it's really hard because I think like more artists and people that we work with our right mind, it's really hard to get this left brain going on. You know, it's like, oh, I love my work, but I hate all this stuff, you know, and that's kind of when it has to start moving. But in order for us to like have peace with that side of it, we need to keep doing what we love to do. And we've come to our time. I just checked it out. It went pretty fast, but come and visit us. We're here on the 2nd and 4th Monday of the month. You can join our Facebook group, the Break Room for Coaches. Oh, I wanted to talk to Lisa.
I'll message you.
Okay, so the Break Room for Coaches.
Patrick said he'll be back. Oh, good. And we'd love to have you in our group. It's a pretty new group, and we'd love to have the conversation going in there as well.
It's a only group we have men in there, so you're so welcome to come to be here with us.
Yeah, we definitely want to invite you into the Coaches Break Room. We're always looking for guests as well, so we really want to keep these kind of topics going. And then, Monica, will you share with people your website too? Because I know there's people on here going like, okay, I need to work with her. How do I do that? So will you tell them how to get to your website and all?
Yes, my website is monicapelayo, PELAYO.com. And you could send me a message if you want to have, right now, I do have a 30-minute discovery call, people call it. I call it just, let's have a conversation if this is something that you would like, and to kind of at least be clear on what you need to work on. You could work on it on with me or whoever you want, but at least in those 30 minutes, you're going to have a little bit more clarity of what it is that you need to work on. So I'd be happy to do that for whoever wanted to do it.
On the website, you guys, you can see my testimonial there of, you know, how I was like going through this hard time and I was making it like, oh my gosh, I'm having a low month and this whole thing. But she's got a ton of their similar stories from really, really successful coaches on there, really high level people who are like really, really successful. And we all go through these money blocks. Like we think that they're money blocks. I don't know that they really are, but we think that they are. Like you said, it's a lie. It's like
money alerts. To the money alerts.
Money alerts. Yeah. It's like, it's something that pops up and she gives you the opportunity to see the truth, see the beauty in that shadow and just blast it out of there. And then you just go boom to the next level. And I think the lesson is just to know that there's always a next level, right? So cut ourselves some slack, know that there's always a next level. And if we're having a hard time right now, it probably means that we're being invited to go to the next level.
To receive the gift, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jess.
Yeah, this was such a great call. We will be back. So the second Monday of August is August 8th.
8th,
So we'll be back on the 8th, and then the 22nd we have more. We're gonna have this today. We did not have a guest, but usually we always do have a guest. So this was kind of fun, just you and I. I really enjoyed it. I love it when we just get to like go back and forth, and we were on it today. So it was awesome. So we'll be back though on the 8th. We'll have a guest, and thank you guys for being here. Thanks for joining the group. I'll just post it one more time if you guys didn't catch the link there. And I'll try to upload this to YouTube. Last week I couldn't upload for some reason. So we'll try to get that uploaded and we'll be sharing this replay with you guys. Bye, Patrick.
Bye, Patrick.
Thanks for those of you that joined us live. Okay, bye everyone.
Okay, when this is over, on the left, when you stop recording on the left, it tells you to put on YouTube and it gives you all the information. All right.
Yeah, last week it was like doing something weird. Okay, bye.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Bye.